Okay, where to start with you? Wow. First of all, you look like Max Headroom without the skip. Now, for a young guy like yourself, you probably don't got a clue what I'm talking about. For some of the older people who remember the TV show back in the '80s, they just got one hell of a chuckle out of that. So that was for them. Now, getting on to what you were talking about, housing value doesn't work that way. Your story sounded good; it was well rehearsed, but it's not factual. Just because somebody buys a house for $350,000 and it's foreclosed on, yeah, sometimes the bank does short sell it, but that doesn't take away from the value of the home. In fact, a lot of times it's actually picked up by wholesalers who then turn around, do a little bit of refit to it, and they turn around and sell it again for $350,000. Now that's real world scenario. That's not something that I use to make a spin so that my point would get across, so that I could have a "I hate Republicans" type message. But getting back to the cornerstone of what's really going on here, it's the Fannie Mae's and the Freddie Macs and the Acorns of the world that's caused the collapse. And you blame Republicans for that. The most interesting perspective is those aren't Republican type deals; those are actually liberal type deals. So I'm trying to figure out why you're angry at Republicans over something that was done by liberals. Once again, I guess that's where the local news stations, because they're so liberally based, have managed once again to magically spin that, make it look like our fault too. Much like Bush is responsible for the typhoons that happened on the other side of the world. We all know that's true too, because the news told us that. Now, the interesting perspective is you were talking about inflation. Uh, the $750 billion. You said $700 billion. The $750 billion. That was liquidity. And I was mad about it. I am not going to lie. I was mad about it also. But, facts are facts. And even though I myself didn't want it to happen, it's what it needed. So the facts said that liquidity needed to be put into the system in order to try to hold it up. Now, everybody's saying, well, that money failed. No, it hasn't failed yet. It hasn't had a time to work. You can't put a Band-Aid over a scratch, take it off 2 seconds later, and expect the scratch to be gone and be pissed when it's not. So keep that in mind as we move forward. One thing that I will tell you that we should all be shocked about is that for the first time ever, they didn't just take money of ours and give it away. They actually took the money, and now they expect to get it back with interest for the people. I almost fell out when I heard that, because that is a first. But now, as far as it causing an inflation, I saw you hold up your pack of cigarettes there and say that when those go up to $10, it's going to piss you off to the point where you want to come choke some Republican. Well, I'd like to volunteer for that. So when you get pissed off to that point, come to my house and you can try that choking process, because I'll be more than happy to make you understand that you should have stayed at home and choked your boyfriend, which is probably more in line with what really happened. But getting on to the core of what you were talking about, yes, there is a problem with the housing market, but that's all because of the perversions that took place, because of the forced corruption that Acorn put on top of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and then they themselves also helped to get on that bandwagon, and they forced banks. They literally forced banks, and I think that as time goes on, even under a very powerful and well-controlled Democratic Senate, House, and presidential, which I think we're unfortunately going to face this next time around, you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come up, because it just won't rub. It just won't rub. These people have committed some serious crimes, and it's going to come up. So I think as we move forward, we'll see exactly what's happening in the marketplace. But the interesting perspective, and why I made this rebuttal to you, is stop blaming Republicans. Republicans don't have a thing to do with what just happened. Okay, let me tell you what has something to do with what just happened. It's the control. It's when anytime you have something that grabs a hold of something and tries to put its power over the top of it, you're not going to get the performance out of it. Well, that's exactly what's happening with our government. And now that Barack Obama looks like he's going to get a free reign, it's going to happen more. So welcome back to the late teens and early 20s, when we went from a recession and into a depression. For those people that are too lazy to look back over history, we're about to go through it again, because Barack Obama's policies is going to do exactly what happened when we went from a recession into a depression. So be prepared for the next 5 to 8 years to keep a pretty tight wallet. That's what I would tell you. Now, as far as everything else goes, whenever you have, and I'm going to try to explain this in the best layman terms that I can. I'm going slow so that hopefully you'll get some retention up here. But whenever you have a business and you choke its ability to perform so that it can sell more product, you then get less income from that business. The less income is less that you can tax. It also puts them into a lesser tax bracket. So when they make lesser income, the United States government makes lesser income because they are taxing what production that company made. So since that company's not making production, they're not making taxes for the government. Do you follow me? So when we have this rob from the rich, give to the poor scenario, two things are going to happen. A, taxes are going to drop drastically. So all those programs in which Barack Obama is talking about, he's not going to be able to do them. But he's going to be like a smart, true liberal politician. He's going to blame it on the Republicans. He's going to say, well, I'm living through the Bush years now. Bush did this to me. So we're going to go through that same fact again. By putting it off on somebody else. But the extra problem that we're going to have is that the moment they start taxing these big high businesses, they're going to do what they've been doing for the last 14 years. They're going to leave America. That's right. They're going to leave America. Now, you guys all say, well, that's okay because we'll tax them really hard and we'll do this. Big deal. They're going to leave anyway because it's no longer an American or a national economy. It's now a global economy. These companies in America cannot compete on a global basis if they're taxed. Right now we have 37% taxes on our business. We are the highest in the world. In the world. Most of the average people out there in business that participate globally, they only end up paying anywhere between 14%, I think, up to about 24%. That being the highest, 24%. And those are in dictatorship-type countries, okay? So the problem that you have is that America is taxing their large corporations right out of business, or, in this case, right out of America. That's what we need to fix. We don't need liberals. We need you guys to sit back, watch American Idol, drink lattes, kiss your boyfriends, let us handle it. We'll get the job done.